Good morning. We're going on the record. The time on the screen is 9:01 a.m. Today's date is September 4th, 2019. We are located at 2525 East Camelback Road, 7th floor, Phoenix, Arizona 85016. This marks the beginning of media number 1 in the deposition of Martin Tripp in the matter of Tesla versus Tripp, venued in the United States District Court, District of Nevada. Case number 318CV00296 LRH CBC. My name is Robert Whitener. I am a legal video specialist here on behalf of Chase Litigation Services. The court reporter is David Lee, also on behalf of Chase Litigation Services. Counsel, would you please identify yourselves and state whom you represent?
Sean Gates for Tesla.
Good morning. William Fischbach and Robert Mitchell on behalf of the defendant and counterclaimant Martin Tripp.
You may now swear in the witness.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now contains to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And Sean, before we get started, just a minor housekeeping note. Mr. Tripp has a back injury, so just please understand we might need to break from time to time for him to stand up and walk around and things like that. So.
Sure, that's no problem. Along those lines, Mr. Tripp, are you taking any medications that would prevent you from testifying fully and truthfully today?
No.
Okay. Is there any other reason why you can't testify fully and truthfully today?
No.
Okay. So, Mr. Tripp, can you tell me, what do you think was your reputation in the community prior to coming to work for Tesla?
Check to the form of the question. Answer if you can.
What community?
Okay, let's start with Gaylord, Michigan.
I think it was good. I believe it was good.
Okay. And how would people describe you in Gaylord, Michigan?
Check to the foundation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
Helpful. They could depend on me.
Anything else?
That's all that comes to mind.
Okay. And who would stand up in Gaylord, Michigan and say Martin Tripp's a helpful, dependable person?
Same objection. Answer if you can.
Family, friends, customers of employers that I worked for.
Okay. And which friends are you talking about?
Eugene Brannigan, Larry Dixon, Craig Rich. There's numerous.
What about you said customers of your employers?
Correct.
Which employers?
Golden Auto Electric, K-Byte, North Country Aviation.
What about the employers themselves? What would they say about you?
I do not know what they would say.
Do you think you were a good employee at each of those employers?
Yes, I do.
And what kind of employee? How would people describe you as an employee?
That I was the go-to guy, that I could be depended upon, that I took the initiative, I got the job done.
And you also lived in Milwaukee, is that correct? Wisconsin?
That is correct.
Okay. What would your reputation be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Check to the form of the question.
I believe it would be the same.
And who would talk to that?
Friends, colleagues, anybody that I interacted with, band members, people that I played guitar with.
Go back to, you said customers from employers at Gaylord, Michigan. What customers in particular?
It's been so long I can't remember their names.
Would that include customers of Golden Auto Electric?
Yes.
And they would say what about you?
Foundation.
They would say that I'm dependable, that I'm trustworthy, that I'm able to get the job done, that they don't need to come back because it's already been done the right way.
And your employer at Golden Auto Electric would say what about you?
He would probably say the same thing, I would imagine.
Okay, going back to Milwaukee, who are your employers in Milwaukee?
Mortara Instrument, GE Healthcare, Port CNC.
What would your employer at Mortara say about you?
Foundation.
That I was an outstanding worker, that I was the only person that could do the job that I did.
What would you say about your, how you got along with others at Mortara?
Same.
It would depend on the time frame.
Okay, it changed over time?
Yes, it did.
Okay, what happened?
There was a instance where a customer service rep was disagreeing with the process, the flow of phone calls, and so we were just argumentative.
And was that the beginning of your employment, later in your employment?
That was at the end of the employment.
Did that lead to your termination?
That is one possible reason.
What were the other reasons why you were terminated from Morata?
My opinion was that there was an argument with an engineer regarding the questionability of a product.
Anything else?
Not that I'm aware of.
What about at, was it General Electric?
Yes.
Okay. What did they say about you there?
They would say that I was outstanding, that they had never seen anybody that could do the work that I did as quickly as I did it and as efficiently as I did it, and they loved me.
And anything about your ability to get along with others?
No.
And why did you leave General Electric?
I was a contractor, and they could only hire me on as second shift, and around the time that they were discussing hiring me on, Port CNC reached out to me with a direct hire.
And Port CNC, what would they say about you?
Foundation. Answer if you can.
It depends on the time frame.
Okay. Let's start at the beginning of, how long were you there?
I believe a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay, so the first year.
They loved me. They believed I was the go-to guy. I was the subject matter expert in the product that I worked on. And I'd been told many times by the owner that I was the only guy that they could trust to do the job as efficiently and productively as I was able to, and interface with the customers as well.
Okay, and then in the second half of your employment there, what would they say?
There's a disagreement in time off, and so they became upset about that, so I can't say exactly what they would say, but they were not pleased.
What was the disagreement about time off?
The owner and I could reconcile any time off. We would work around each other's schedules, and the chain of command was changed to his brother-in-law, who didn't agree with that ideal. And so when I needed time off for the birth of my son, he basically booked travel extensively around that whole time frame, and I disagreed with that.
Okay. How did you leave Port CNC?
I resigned.
You resigned from Port CNC. Okay. And when was that?
I believe it was May 13th, and I submitted my resignation letter on the 16th because he wanted a formal, the owner, Steve Anderson, wanted a formal letter.
Any issues with them after you left?
Form.
Yes.
What were those issues?
I found some product used for the installing of their monitoring equipment, and I tried to return it to them. And there was a disagreement over how it should be returned or why it would be returned.
And what did they say to you?
They told me to toss it, his exact words.
Did you do so?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I could not bring myself to throw away nearly $1,000 worth of product.
So what did you do with it?
Based on a comment he made to me, I listed it on eBay and gave the links to a couple of his resellers.
Did you sell it to somebody?
No, I did not.
What happened?
They found out and they called the police, and the Greenfield, Wisconsin police contacted me and told me to take the ad down, which I did without question.
What did you do with the product?
I took it to the Greenfield, Wisconsin Police Department, and I threw it in the trash in front of two of the police officers.
Did you post anything about Port CNC on social media?
No, I did not.
Any other reviews? Anything on the internet? Any review sites?
Not to my knowledge.
So, Mr. Tripp, what are other employers, any other employers before you came to Tesla that we haven't talked about?
Object to the form of the question. Answer if you can.
Regarding Wisconsin,
Okay, Wisconsin.
I believe those were the only employers.
And in Michigan?
Michigan, I worked for several companies, North Country Aviation, K-Byte, which became Reptron Manufacturing, Cable Constructors Incorporated, my father's company, James and Tripp Concrete Construction, Golden Auto Electric, and Johnson Controls Incorporated.
Did you work for a company called Johnson Level?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Milwaukee. Yes.
That was in Milwaukee. Okay. How would they describe you at Johnson Level?
Foundation, answer if you can.
Up to a certain point, the same as all the other employers that I discussed. They loved me. I did an awesome job. I was the go-to guy. I handled customer service extremely well. All of our customers were satisfied after they ended their phone calls or emails.
And then after that certain point, what happened?
I hired a tech to do a specific job, and he did not like that role, and he was basically jealous of me because I was building a physical lab in the building, and we had some disagreements that got a little heated.
And then what did that result in as far as your employer?
I eventually resigned from the company because of that.
You resigned from the company voluntarily?
Yes, I did.
Were you asked to leave?
No, I was not. I was actually asked to stay.
You were asked to stay at
Yes.
Johnson Level. Okay. And at Golden Auto, how did you end your employment at Golden Auto?
Technically, it was not an employment, but I left.
You left voluntarily?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
The responsibilities that were imposed on me were more than I was able to handle based on many issues, but ultimately I decided to leave and make a fresh start down in Grand Rapids. Yeah, that's it.
Who did you work for in Grand Rapids?
Johnson Controls.
Okay, that was Johnson Control. Okay. In Johnson Control, were you a contractor?
That is correct.
Okay, so you weren't a full-time employee.
Correct.
Going back to Johnson Level, you said you left because of this one tech that you hired. Were any other reasons?
No, that's it.
Or you wanted to follow along? You just get this, there you go. Follow real time up on the corner.
So, Mr. Tripp, are you an honest person?
Yes.
always strive to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Do you see a difference between evading and lying?
I guess I would say somewhat.
Somewhat. Describe the difference.
So lying would be somebody asks you a question and you tell them distruth or untruth. Evading would be if somebody asks you something and you just, to me, would be ignore it, I guess, and I don't know how to really explain it. It's just
Give them a
Something.
different impression?
sure.
Mislead them?
That would be a good interpretation.
So if we were to, if you want to go back over all your employers, are there particular persons who you would say, that person would say I was a fantastic employee? Who would they be?
It would be all of them.
Now, so Mr. Tripp, in this case, you brought a, what's called a counterclaim, alleging that you were defamed. You understand that, right?
Yes, I do.
And just without looking at anything your lawyers wrote or worrying about what your lawyer said, just tell me what statements by Tesla you believe caused you injury.
Check to the form of the question, answer if you understand it.
So the Gigafactory threat was made on the 20th, or the allegation that it was made on the 20th, and Tesla was still producing statements, including Elon Musk personally, to reporters on the 21st, that this was ongoing, even after the Story County Police, Story County Sheriff had already stated that there was no credible threat to Tesla. Elon Musk called me out by name in several, at least one for certain tweet, and possibly several, I just can't remember, calling me out by name, insinuating that I was working with, either working with short sellers along with Lynette Lopez or accepting bribes from Lynette Lopez for the information that I gave to her.
Any others?
There are, they just don't come to mind at the moment.
Okay, so those are the two that come to mind. Okay, so you have been, since the June 20th, you've been involved, well, you then brought the lawsuit sometime after that, correct?
The countersuit, yes.
Countersuit, and then you have now moved to Hungary, right?
That is correct.
And since then, I understand that you have not been able to find employment?
That is correct.
And you believe that's attributable to the statements by Tesla?
Absolutely.
And which statements is that attributed to?
The alleged threat of the Gigafactory, for one. That would be the primary reason.
What jobs have you tried to get?
I can't even give you a number. Well over 20 that I've applied to, specifically within the genre of my technical aptitude, electronics technician type work or customer service, as well as several, again, I can't give you an exact number of lower level, even hotel desk customer service, as in both Hungary as well as in the United States.
Okay, and I was going to ask you where were these jobs located? So let's start with the United States. How many applications have you made in the United States?
I can't give you an exact number. I would say it would be over 10 to 15.
And were you applying to these from Hungary?
Yes.
And where were they? Like what geographic locations in the United States?
All over. It was from Indeed.
Okay, so you're making the applications through Indeed.com?
Yes.
any other means?
There was another, I don't remember the name of it, that did not receive any hits.
And did any of the potential employers that you applied to get back to you?
Yes, they have, just giving me a blanket statement that they were going to pursue other candidates.
How many got back to you?
I would say over 5. I can't give you an exact number again.
Did any of them make any statements about why they weren't pursuing you?
In one face-to-face interview, I was specifically asked if I was the Martin Tripp involved in the Tesla lawsuit, and the next day I received an email response that they were going to look at other candidates.
Who was that?
That was Computer Center in Budapest.
In Budapest, okay. Of the ones that you applied to in the United States, did you have any face-to-face interviews?
No, I did not.
And did any of the ones from the United States indicate to you, give you any reasons why they decided not to call you back?
No.
Other than the face-to-face interview that you just described to me in Budapest, have you had any others?
I applied to Johnson & Johnson and GE Healthcare, as well as a few other major companies in Budapest, and either received that blanket response, the generic response, or just no response at all.
Okay, so you haven't had any other face-to-face interviews, just that one?
Correct.
Any of the employers in Budapest indicate, other than the one where you had the interview, indicate why they weren't calling you back?
I don't believe they're allowed to due to EU law.
Pause for a minute so I can get this working too.
Okay. Why don't we go off the record for a second?
The time is 9:23. We're going off the record. The time is 9:25. We are back on the record. Media file number 1.
So, Mr. Tripp, we were talking about the statements by Tesla that you allege were defamatory and caused you injury. One of the things that is in your legal papers, it says that the statements caused you shame. Can you tell me what shame you felt? And
Well, there are a lot of shootings going on just even recently, yesterday, which are just the most awful thing that could ever happen to anybody, in my opinion. And for Tesla to allege that and then publicly state that, it still haunts me now, because I know it to be something that I would absolutely never think of doing. It's atrocious, it's horrific, and I would never in my wildest dreams want anybody to even think of doing something like that, let alone allege that I would do something like that.
okay. And you said still haunts you now. What do you mean by that?
There's still articles about it. It still comes up in the media. It still comes up anywhere you look. If somebody knows about the case, they know about that.
And the word that's used is shame. What, can you describe what that means to you?
It's several emotions. It's just, if an employer looks to hire me, and then they see, well, there's a possibility that he did that, because Tesla is a huge company, and they said he did that. They allege he did that, and I don't get the job from that. To me, that's shame.
So another word that's used in the legal papers is mortification. That the statements caused you mortification. How would you define mortification?
Synonymous with horrified.
And you felt horrified
Absolutely.
by which statements?
The allegation of the threat to the Gigafactory, that I was on my way to shoot the place up.
And also hurt feelings. Were your feelings hurt?
Yes.
How so?
So for them to interrogate me for 2 days and intimidate me was one thing, but then to do that and go beyond just filing a lawsuit against me, they continued. I loved working for Tesla. I believed in the mission. And for them to do that, to go beyond, to me, that is lower than anyone should ever go. That's why.
Is it your belief that Tesla made up the fact that there was a call to the Gigafactory?
I personally believe they did.
If it turns out that what they reported to the press was exactly what happened, as far as somebody calling in to the Gigafactory, would that change your mind?
Objection, improper and incomplete hypothetical. Answer if you can.
I didn't really have friends at the Gigafactory, and I did not speak to anybody that day in regards to anything like that at all. I didn't have any conversations with anybody, so nobody would have, if they considered themselves a friend of mine, would have even been able to make a call with that truth.
Okay, so let's just assume that somebody did call into the Gigafactory and that actually happened. And they actually said that they were a friend of yours. They actually said that you were armed, distraught, and that the person was worried that you would be coming to the Gigafactory to hurt people. If that were actually the case, do you think it's Tesla's fault for reporting that?
Objection, improper and incomplete hypothetical.
I do, because everyone that I worked with and spoke to knew that I did not have any guns, especially at that point, and it would have been an untruth, a lie.
So the person making the call would have been lying.
Yes.
And you're upset with Tesla, and you think that they have injured you because they reported what they were told.
Tesla did not do an investigation to determine that that was truth, and they also made public statements the day after.
So you just said Tesla didn't do an investigation. How do you know that?
From our discovery.
From your lawyers?
Yes.
Okay. So prior to you knowing that they didn't make an investigation, as you claim, were you mortified?
Could you restate the question?
Prior to your lawyers telling you that Tesla supposedly didn't make an investigation, were you mortified by Tesla's statements?
Objection to the extent that requires the disclosure of privileged information.
Yes, I was mortified.
Did you feel shame?
Yes, I felt shame.
Were your feelings hurt?
Yes, they were hurt.
So it doesn't matter that Tesla didn't supposedly do investigation as far as those feelings, did it?
I can't say one way or the other.
It's your feelings, why can't you say?
I'm not sure.
Your lawyers have told us that you want $40 million as compensation from Tesla.
Correct.
Why do you think you deserve $40 million?
That's the number that we came to agreement on based on what Tesla has alleged that I did and what they've done to me during my employment as well as after.
So How much of the $40 million is for you feeling shame?
I can't determine that.
How much for you being mortified?
I can't determine that.
So you don't know?
It's all wrapped together.
You can't attribute it to your hurt feelings?
There were so many emotions that I can't think of it that way.
Have you seen a psychologist?
No.
Have you seen a counselor?
I've spoken with my wife.
No, like a professional counselor. Have you seen a professional counselor?
No.
Psychiatrist?
No.
Any professional for these horrible feelings that you're feeling?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't have the money to do so.
Oh, you don't have the money to do so. Did you try to find one who would do it for free, like at a clinic or something?
No.
Why not?
Because I live in Hungary, where the major language spoken is Hungarian.
See? Well, you didn't go to Hungary for a while. Why didn't you find somebody before then?
I was too busy worrying about everything else.
So we don't have any professional who you've talked to, right?
Correct.
You've spoken with your wife, you said.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I've talked to many reporters.
You talked to many reporters about your shame
Yes.
and your mortification,
Yes.
hurt feelings.
Yes.
Is that like some form of therapy?
Could you repeat the question?
Is that some form of therapy for you to talk to reporters about these things?
For me, yes.
Why talk to reporters?
Because I get it off my chest. It's a relief knowing that there are other people out there that care and are concerned, and it makes me feel safer.
So you believe these reporters care about you?
I would hope so.
What gives you the idea that these reporters care about you?
Well, they seemed concerned.
Because they listen to you?
Yes.
And nobody at Tesla would listen to you, would they?
Generally, no.
Any other reasons why you think you deserve $40 million? Other than that was a number that we came up with.
I think it should be more based on what they've done to me.
So, if it turned out that somebody called the Gigafactory and in fact relayed everything that Tesla ended up reporting to them, do you think that person should be responsible for $40 million to you?
Object is an improper and incomplete hypothetical. Answer if you can.
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because it's Tesla that ultimately made the statements after it was verified there was no credible threat.
Oh, so you understand that you think that they made the statements to the press after it was, quote, verified that there was no credible threat. Is that what your testimony is?
Before and after.
So you believe Tesla should pay for $40 million for its statements made to the press after the Sheriff's Department came out with its press release?
They were making statements before and after.
But which statements should Tesla pay for $40 million to you?
All of them.
All of them. When Tesla made these supposed statements after the sheriff's report, so the sheriff's office did a press release, right?
I believe so.
And the sheriff's office, do you think they vindicated you?
Object, it's vague and ambiguous. Strike that. Object to the following question. Answer if you can.
I believe they cleared my name that I was not, in fact, in any way associated with the allegation that was made.
So the sheriff's office cleared your name,
Yes.
and they put out a press release.
I don't know if they actually put the press release out. I never saw a public release of that.
The fact of the sheriff's investigation was reported by the press.
Could you repeat that, please?
The sheriff's investigation of you, where they cleared your name, was reported by the press, correct?
I believe so.
So anybody who goes on to Google and looks at all of the reports about the Gigafactory threat sees that your name was cleared by the Sheriff's Department.
Objective Foundation, answer if you can.
It's possible.
So you said earlier that you had sold your firearms before June 20th of 2018. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so before you moved to Nevada to work for Tesla, right at that point, what firearms did you own?
When?
6 months before you moved to Nevada.
I believe I, excuse me, I believe I would have owned a AR-15 and a P238, possibly a 9mm.
Another weapon, a 9mm?
Yes.
Did you own the High Point?
Yes, yeah, thank you. A high point 9mm carbine,
So they got 3 weapons.
4.
4, okay. Oh, the High Point and in addition, a 9mm High Point.
Yes.
Okay. The AR-15, which manufacturer?
I don't remember the company, based out of Illinois.
Wasn't Colt?
No, it was not a name brand. It was a veteran built.
Full-length barrel?
Oh,
It's a full-length barrel?
yes,
Have a rail system?
yes.
What'd you have on the rail?
I believe our red dot sight.
Just tell us what a red dot sight is.
Just puts a red dot on whatever you're aiming at.
Okay. What else did you have on the rail?
I believe I had a scope for competitive shooting.
How many rounds of the magazine did you carry
For which gun?
for the AR-15?
30.
And you said you had a P238?
Yes.
That's a 6-hour
I believe so, yes.
semi-automatic pistol.
Yes.
What round did it chamber?
I believe 9 or 10.
And what was the capacity of the magazine for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. To clarify, the round that it chambered was a 238 round. The capacity was 9 or 10 rounds.
And then in addition, you said you had a 9mm
I believe I had one at the time. Yes.
pistol?
Yes.
Semi-automatic?
Yes.
Did you shoot competitively?
Personally.
So did you enter shooting competitions like target competitions?
No, it was just myself and wife and friends.
And the High Point is a 9mm carbine?
Correct.
Did it have the forward pistol stock?
I don't remember. I believe we had a removable one on it. It was not an actual, well, it was adjustable.
An adjustable stock?
Yes, that could turn into a bipod.
And what kind of magazines do you have for that?
I believe they're 10-round magazines.
Were these all registered?
Yes.
So they were registered on some database somewhere?
I don't know where they're registered. I purchased them through FFL dealers, so they would be registered somewhere through, and the background checks through the federal government or state government.
And what's an FFL dealer?
Federal Firearms License Dealer.
So you did the paperwork.
Absolutely.
And when did you sell the AR-15?
I do not remember when. It was before I moved.
Was it a private sale?
Yes.
Was it through FFL dealer?
No, it was not.
Did you file some kind of paperwork with the government to show the transfer?
No, there's no requirement to do so.
What about the P238? Did you sell that one?
Yes.
And was that a private sale as well?
Yes.
And there was no paperwork that you had to file for that sale?
Correct.
And the 9mm pistol, you sold that as well?
Correct.
Okay, and that was not through an FFL?
That is correct.
So there's no paperwork that you filed with the government for that?
Correct. There's no need to.
And then the High Point carbine, you brought that to Nevada with you, correct?
That is correct.
But you said you sold it prior to June 20th.
Yes.
Was that to Patrick Chakal?
Yes.
When did you sell it?
I believe May 16th, somewhere within that week.
Was that through a FFL dealer?
No, it was not.
It's a private sale?
Yes.
When you did these private sales, did you have to do a background check on the buyer?
I personally did on the ones in Milwaukee because I had a background check account at the time.
Was it required?
No, it's not.
What about on Patrick Chakal? Did you do a background check on him?
No, I did not.
And was there paperwork that you guys exchanged when you sold him the High Point?
I don't believe there was any.
And did you file anything with the government indicating that you sold that High Point carbine?
No, there is no requirement to do so.
So as far as all the dealers who sold you these weapons, they don't know whether that you resold them.
That is correct, and there's no requirement to know so.
So if anyone was doing some kind of record search, they wouldn't have known about these private sales.
Most likely correct.
One of the other things that you alleged was caused by Tesla's statements was marital relationship problems?
Yes.
Tell me, what do you mean by that?
The amount of stress and how scared we were of what was going on, it just made our marriage very difficult. We were argumentative quite often. We were under an enormous amount of stress. We were distanced from each other.
And how long did that last?
It still goes on to this day once in a while.
You haven't gotten through that?
We're working through it.
Prior to June 20th of 2018, did you have any arguments or disagreements with your wife?
Just as anyone else would. Very small. We're very much in love.
So how long have you been married?
5 years.
What's your-
4 years, 2015.
Okay, so you were married in 2015.
Yes, so 4 years.
When you were sharing information with Annette Lopez, information that you had obtained from Tesla. Did your wife know about that?
She did not.
Did you tell her that I might lose my job?
I'm going to object on the basis of marital privilege and instruct the witness not to answer.
And we're going to play this little game probably throughout, which is he instructs you not to answer. I ask you, are you going to follow your attorney's instruction? So you have to decide whether or not to follow his instruction. So I'm going to ask you, you're going to follow your attorney's instruction?
Yes, I am.
When you were sharing information with Lynette Lopez, information that you had taken from Tesla, how did you think it was all going to end? What did you think it was going to be accomplished?
I was hoping that it would cause Tesla to change its ways and improve things. That's what I was hoping for.
Did you think that even if Tesla changed its ways, it might have been upset that somebody had taken its information and shared it with a reporter?
Objection foundation. Answer if you can.
That was a possibility, but based on the issues that I saw, I was more concerned to get the information out than the repercussions from that.
Did you think in the end you were going to be seen as a hero?
I did not think of it that way at all.
You didn't. What did you think was going to happen with your job?
I didn't think that far ahead. I was not worried. I was more concerned about public safety.
Do you think you should be viewed as a hero for disclosing Tesla's confidential information to a reporter?
No.
How should you be viewed then?
Preferably not viewed at all.
You wanted to remain anonymous.
That is correct.
You wanted to continue with your job at Tesla while continuing to provide information to reporters.
Only if it was necessary.
And you were going to do that for as long as you thought it was necessary,
Yes.
as determined by you.
Yes.
So you thought excuse me, let me start that again. You thought by sharing information with Lynette Lopez, you would change what was being done at the Tesla Gigafactory, right?
That was my hope.
And you were going to continue to provide information from Tesla to Lynette Lopez as long as you thought there were things that needed to be changed at Tesla's Gigafactory.
If it involved public safety, yes.
So a lot of the information that you disclosed had to do with the amount of dollar value of scrap. Remember that?
Yes.
How is that an issue of public safety?
I can't say that it is.
Then why were you disclosing it to Lynette Lopez?
Because it was a concern internally amongst many employees.
Okay, so there was a concern internally amongst employees, and you didn't see it was changing to your liking, right?
Object to the form of the question.
It was not changing to the liking of anyone.
You didn't think that Tesla was changing sufficiently in response to the concerns about the level of scrap.
That is correct.
And so because of that, you decided to provide Tesla confidential information to Lynette Lopez.
Yes.
But that's not an issue of public safety.
Not to my knowledge.
You also disclosed to her information about the number of Model 3s that were being produced? You remember that?
Yes.
Was that an issue of public safety?
I can't say that it is.
Why did you disclose it to Lynette Lopez?
Because Elon Musk was lying to investors and the public about the amount of cars being produced per day. And I was showing proof of that.
Okay, let's suppose that you thought the numbers that were being put to the public were incorrect. Why go to a reporter with Tesla confidential information? What's the importance of that?
I believed it was wrong. I myself was an investor with restricted stock units, and I believed that it was wrong for him to say one thing and we were actually doing another.
So because you thought it was wrong, it was okay to steal Tesla confidential information and provide it to a reporter.
Correct.
Did you raise the issue of the number of Model 3s being produced to people in the Gigafactory?
Yes, I did.
Did you walk around waving your hand saying, we're lying to investors, we're lying to investors?
There were discussions
With whom?
with my senior engineer,
Who was that?
Stephen Kunkel.
Anybody else?
I can't name names because there were numerous people around during those conversations.
Okay, so you went to Stephen Kunkel and you said to him, what did you say to him exactly with regard to the Model 3 production numbers?
I didn't go to him. He actually was presenting it to everybody in the group that was there.
Okay, so what did you say to him?
I don't know if I said anything. I can't remember.
Wait a minute, I asked you who you went to complain about the allegation that Elon Musk was lying about the Model 3 production numbers, and you said Stephen Kunkel.
I misinterpreted the question.
Okay. Who did you go to and complain that Elon Musk was supposedly lying about Model 3 production numbers?
Fellow peers.
Fellow peers, who?
Patrick Shackle,
Okay.
Robert Duran, Chris Swales. There were several others. I just can't remember their names now.
And what did you say to them?
That we were producing one number and Elon was stating another number.
Did you go to anybody in management?
No.
Did you go to any of your supervisors?
My supervisor was management. No.
So you talked to your peers, you urge your peers, you know, we should go report this?
That was the discussion.
With those, what, 4 people?
Possibly more, I don't know.
And you decided not to?
At that time, I don't remember what I had decided.
You didn't, right?
At that time, no.
Oh, you did later on?
Yes.
When?
Producing the information to Lynette Lopez.
Oh, yeah, but not in, okay. Did you produce that information to anybody other than Lynette Lopez?
Possibly Alexandra Sage, but I can't not remember.
Did you, with regard to the Model 3 production numbers, did you make any report to any government agency?
Yes.
When?
When I submitted a tip to the SEC.
And when was that?
I can't remember the exact date.
Was it after you were terminated?
Correct.
Was it after the lawsuit against you was filed?
Correct.
Was it after you filed the lawsuit in this case?
Correct.
Was it after you posted to Twitter further confidential Tesla information, which was in August of 2018,
It was previous to that.
prior to that? So sometime between when you filed the counterclaim in this case and August of 2018.
That is correct.
You filed a complaint with OSHA, correct?
That is correct.
Is that different from your tip to the SEC, or is that the same thing in your mind?
It's a different regulatory body, so I believe it would be different.
Okay, I'm just trying to see whether there's two different things going on, right?
Yes.
So during your time, you were employed at Tesla, you did not go to any government agency to report what you believed was false information provided by Tesla with regard to Model 3 production. True?
True.
And you didn't go to any government agency to report what you believed was false information being provided by Tesla with regard to Model 3 production numbers until after you had disclosed that information and those allegations to Lynette Lopez.
That is correct.
Why wasn't it enough to go to the reporter with the claims about the supposed false information about Model 3 productions?
Because it was wrapped with the other items that I brought to her attention as well.
So it didn't get enough publicity?
No, it's just the way you questioned it. That's how I had to answer, or I felt I needed to answer.
You disclosed it to Lynette Lopez, right?
Right.
She reported on it, correct?
Correct.
Why wasn't that enough? Why didn't you leave it there?
Because there were safety concerns that I had.
Safety concerns with regard to the Model 3 production numbers?
With production of Model 3s.
Okay, let's stick with the production numbers.
Okay.
The number, okay? So you went to Lynette Lopez with your allegations, and she reported on that, right?
Okay.
And then you later on, you said you reported to the SEC, right?
Correct.
So Lynette Lopez reported on your allegations about Model 3 production numbers, and that was what you wanted. You wanted that to be public, right?
That is correct.
So why wasn't that enough for you? Why did you go to the SEC?
I wasn't even aware about the SEC, and it was brought to my attention that it should be presented to them, and so it was.
By whom? Who did it brought that to your attention?
Checked on the basis of attorney-client privilege and instruct the witness not to answer.
Okay. Did you, at that time, were you working with an attorney by the name of Stuart Meisinger?
Meissner, yes.
Meissner. Are you still working with him?
No.
When did you end your relationship with Mr. Meissner?
I believe December of 2018, sometime within a month or two before or after. I can't remember the actual dates.
With regard to your complaint to the SEC, do you have counsel?
I do.
Who is that?
Berman Tobacco?
And then with regard to your complaint to OSHA, do you have counsel?
No, I do not.
On the OSHA complaint that you made, has there been any follow-up by OSHA?
Yes.
What has occurred?
I had a lengthy interview several months ago and contact via email every month or so.
So you said the interview was several months ago?
Yes, I can't remember the exact, maybe 3-4 months ago, but I honestly can't remember the exact time frame.
I'm going to give to you what I'm going to mark as deposition exhibit number 1. So, Mr. Tripp, you recognize deposition exhibit number 1 as an email that you sent on May 27th to a number of news agencies?
Yes, I do.
And was this the first time that you contacted any news agencies offering to provide to them information about Tesla?
Yes.
And there are 4 news agencies that you contacted: Fox News, CNN, Business Insider, and Reuters. Do you see that?
That is correct.
How did you choose those?
I believe I just performed a search of news agencies, generic contact information, and whether they had produced articles on Tesla, good or bad. That's how.
And was there anything that led to this, that prompted you in particular to send this email on May 27th at 1:24 a.m.?
Yes,
What was that?
the amount of waste that we were seeing in the Gigafactory, as well as the safety issue or concern with the punctured battery cells.
Was there anything in like the couple days prior to that that prompted you all of a sudden to go to the reporters?
No, it was ongoing all the way up to that point even.
How long have you had the safety concern?
I can't give you an exact date, but it was when I was moved to module. I had safety concerns prior to that, but the direct concern that I had, that I went to the media, was around this time frame.
Did you work to this the day before this?
Can you restate that?
Did you work the day before sending this email on May 27th?
I don't remember.
Okay. You sent it at 1:24 in the morning.
I believe I did. I believe this was a Saturday or a Sunday, and I had worked that day. I believe that's why. Yes.
So the shift that you were you on the night shift?
I was on a split shift.
Okay, what were the hours of your split shift?
Generally noon to midnight.
So if you had worked, you would have gotten home, what, 12:30 or so that night?
Probably closer to 1:15.
All right, I'm going to give to you what is marked as Deposition Exhibit 2. And so for some reason, beyond my technical expertise, several of the emails and documents that I had printed out without the confidential or date stamp. So what I'm going to do is just designate the unmarked deposition exhibits as confidential.
Want to write confidential on there, maybe on the copy
Sure.
of the court reporter?
Number 2. And then we can resolve the issue if need be later on.
Obviously, without waiving the right to contest it, but yeah, just so there's no ambiguity.
Good. Okay, so this email, you recognize this as a response from Lynette Lopez on May 27th, sent to you at 7:10 a.m., replying to your email offering to provide information to these news outlets, right?
Correct.
Did you know about Lynette Lopez prior to the email from her?
Object to the form of the question.
Answer.
Go ahead and answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about her. I possibly have read some articles by her, but the name was not familiar.
You learned at some point that she had a grudge against Elon Musk, right?
Object to the form of the question. Answer if you can.
I don't know if it was a grudge. She definitely contested things that he said and did.
Well, you described it as a grudge, right?
At some point, I probably did.
You described it as also, she definitely has it out for Elon.
I would definitely agree with that.
So you're not sure whether you knew that at the point when you got this response from Lynette Lopez on May 27th?
I did not know anything about her at all.
Sean, can we take a break?
Oh, yeah,
We're going to
okay.
move on to another exhibit.
No, let's go ahead and take a break, and
The time is 10:09. We're going off the record. End of media file number 1. The time is 1:21 p.m. We are back on the record. Media file number 3.
okay, Mr. Tripp, I'm going to give you what has been marked as Exhibit 35. Exhibit 35 is an email that you sent to Lynette Lopez on June 9th, 2018 at 3:06 p.m., correct?
Correct.
In the first line, you say you're home all weekend and you just uploaded the Bandolier spreadsheets I pulled last Thursday to this same link. So is that, you're indicating there that you got additional data from Tesla, put those into spreadsheets and uploaded it to the Google Drive so that Ms. Lopez could access it?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. I'll give you what's been marked as Exhibit 36. It's an email from you to Lynette Lopez on June 13th, 2018 at 10:55 a.m., correct?
Correct.
And she was asking you about an engineer who was laid off. Do you remember who that was?
Can you guide me where?
Well, the subject line says, is this the engineer who was laid off?
Thank you. Could you just ask the question just so I understand?
Yeah.
Because I just read it.
Yep. Oh, I'm just trying to figure out what engineer she was trying to understand whether he was laid off.
Yes, okay. It's regarding Charlie Hill.
Hill, okay.
Yes,
So,
down below, yes.
so Mr. Hill was laid off by Tesla,
That is correct.
and Lynette Lopez wanted to talk to him? Is that what this is about?
That is correct.
And she was just verifying with you that he had actually left the company?
Yes,
And she also was asking about John Sheridan, right?
that is correct.
Did she ever indicate to you that she spoke with John Sheridan?
I don't remember.
At the top, you say to her that you will talk to Rob, who's leaving for LA. Who's Rob?
He would be Rob Duran, the process engineering technician that I spoke to her about.
And did you give her his full name and information, or were you going to talk to him first, or what was this about?
I had only given her his first name, and I wanted to talk to him to see if he would be interested in talking to her.
Okay, so she's asking you to think of anyone else upset enough to talk. You see that? In one of her emails near the top?
Yes.
Okay. And so other than Rob, and who was the other person that you mentioned?
At the bottom, Charlie Hill.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's who it is.
And John Sheridan, he was one of the people that you said you spoke with about your concerns, right?
That is correct.
Is he a manager? What was his position? Do you remember?
I believe he was he was going to be a manager. I don't know if his title had been changed.
All right, I'll give you what's been marked as Exhibit 37. So So Exhibit 37 is an email from you to Lynette Lopez dated June 15th at 10:56 a.m. You see that?
Yes,
All right. Was this this was after your first interview with Tesla Security, correct?
that is correct.
And it was before your second interview with Tesla Security, right?
That is correct.
So you emailed to her answering some questions she had about data you had provided, right?
What part are you looking at right now?
So I'm looking at her email to you at 10:48 a.m. I'm sorry, I'm looking at your response at 10:56 a.m. You say, yes, those are all Model 3 VINs, and there seems to be an attachment, master underscore CSV. You see that?
Yes,
Okay, so you had provided to her a CSV file, which is a spreadsheet, correct?
yes, we discussed that already.
All right. And you were telling her that those were all the Model 3 VINs, a list of the cars affected by the puncture cell module, right?
Correct.
All right. Now, below there's an email that you sent to her on June 15th at 1:41 p.m. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Well, let me back up just a second. So you were responding to another email she sent on June 15th at 10:22 a.m., right? Where she says, I hope you are okay.
Yes,
That email that she sent to you was after you had a phone call with her with respect to the fact that you had been interviewed by Tesla security personnel, right?
that is correct.
So Tesla security personnel interviewed you on June 14th, correct?
Yes,
And then one of them told you that you were still an employee at Tesla, right?
yes,
And you were still under your obligations to not disclose confidential information, right?
correct.
And they asked you and told you that you should not speak to Lynette Lopez, right?
Correct.
After you left the interview on June 14th, you called Ms. Lopez while you were driving out of the Tesla Gigafactory, correct?
That is correct.
Was she the first person you called?
I believe so.
And you told her, what did you tell her?
Basically what had happened that day of the 14th.
The interview.
Yes,
And you told her how Tesla Security had discovered that you were the person that provided information to her?
that is correct.
Why did you tell her that?
I felt that I could confide in her, and I wanted her to know how it came about.
Why was it important for her to know how it came about?
Because we had been working together for several weeks, and I just felt comfortable speaking with her.
At that point, you hadn't told your wife about what was going on with you and Lynette Lopez, right?
Object to the form of the question, but answer if you can.
I believe I'd spoken to her previous to that.
Prior to the 14th?
Yes.
Did you tell her, well, after you...
Can I clarify? Yes, I in fact did speak to my wife about it before the 14th.
Okay. Was it after the articles had come out?
No,
It was prior to the articles coming out?
yes,
Prior to the first article coming out?
yes,
In the email to Lynette Lopez that you sent on Friday, June 15th, 2018 at 1:41 p.m., you respond to her query that hoping that you were doing okay, that said, you were doing very well. My wife was a tiny bit bummed, but right away said we could move now. You see that?
Yes.
All right, so when you said your wife was a tiny bit bummed, I guess, I take it from that you had told her that you were going to be terminated by Tesla?
Checked on the basis of privilege, instruct the witness not to answer.
Okay, why was your wife a tiny bit bummed?
We had thought that I had been terminated.
Okay. So you had understood that you had been terminated?
That's how I interpreted the end of the June 14th interrogation.
And you said that she was a tiny bit bummed, but right away said we could move now. What was that referring to?
Go ahead and answer. I mean, you were discussing with Lopez, so it's a fair question.
She knew of the concerns that I had about Tesla. She had fears about what they would do to me, retaliation or whatnot, and she was relieved that and was receptive to moving to Hungary.
Okay, you had planned to move to Hungary at some point in the future with your wife, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you had planned to retire from Tesla in under 2 years, right?
We had planned to possibly make a move. We didn't know what the future held, though.
Didn't you tell people that you were going to retire in 2 years?
I told them I was going to retire soon. I did not give them a time frame.
Okay, let me give you what's been marked as Exhibit 40. So Exhibit 40 is a spreadsheet you created that is a countdown to your retirement, isn't it?
That is a countdown to when we would be able to financially make a move over to Hungary.
Okay. So it says at the bottom, days left, 264 days. You see that?
Yes.
So was it as of what date were there 264 days left?
I don't remember. I'm not sure based on this. That number doesn't even look correct.
Okay, so well, you were planning to move to Hungary December of 2020?
No,
No.
I'd never added on to this at that point.
When were you planning to move to Hungary?
At the earliest, by 2022, I believe.
Okay. And you were planning to not work after that, right?
No, we were planning to work.
In Hungary?
Yes.
So were you planning to retire or just move to Hungary?
We were planning to move there to be closer to her family, take some time off, and then look for employment there.
Didn't you tell other people that at Tesla that you were going to retire?
I don't know if I ever used that word.
Did you tell anybody else that you were going to retire in a couple of years and move to Hungary?
I don't know if I did or not.
Let me give you what's been marked as Exhibit 41. Exhibit 41 is a booking for you, your wife, and your son to fly to Hungary, correct?
That is correct.
And you booked this on June 18th, 2016?
No.
No, I'm sorry. You booked it the 16th of June, 2018.
Yes,
So this was after your 2 interviews with Tesla Security. You decided to leave to go to Hungary at that point.
it was after it was just before the second interview, actually.
That's when you
So,
booked it?
Yes.
Okay, so let me give you what's been marked as Exhibit 38. So Exhibit 38 is an email from you to Lynette Lopez on June 15th at 10:59 a.m., correct?
That is correct.
And you tell her that she can freely use your name as a source after the 29th. By that, you meant the 29th of June, correct?
I don't remember what it states.
Okay, the email says, also, you can freely use my name as source after the 29th. You see that?
Right.
You
I
sent
see
that to Lynette Lopez on June 15th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
So you were telling her that she could use your name as a source of the information that you provided to her.
Correct.
And in fact, you told her that you would love it if you did, if she did, correct?
Correct.
Why did you want her to use your name?
Check to the form of the question. Answer if you can.
Because I was intimidated and harassed and fearful for my safety at that point.
Why were you fearful for your safety?
Because of the interactions during the first interrogation and how I was led out of the building of the Gigafactory and was not allowed to leave my vehicle. I was stuck in the parking lot for several minutes with approximately 20 security personnel and a vehicle in front of my car.
And because of that, you feared for your safety?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that you feared for your safety?
That was part of the call with Lynette Lopez.
Oh. You told her in the email you were doing very well.
I don't know what I was explaining there.
Exhibit 39. All right, so Exhibit 39 is a series of text messages. You recognize this as text messages between you and Lynette Lopez?
I do.
Okay, so you texted her pictures, you texted her screenshots, you texted her files, correct?
I don't know about files.
All right. So I'm looking at the pages 878 and 879. There's a whole bunch of attachments with long file names.
Yes, so those would be PDFs.
Okay. If you look at the date of the first text, it says May 29th, 2018 at 9:05 p.m. You see that?
Yes.
And it has an iMessage 646 area code phone number. You see that?
Yes.
Is that your phone number?
That is not.
It's not? It says iMessage Wiz. Was that Ms. Lopez's phone number, as far as you know?
Objective Foundation. Answer if you can.
I believe so, but I can't state for certain.
So the texts go from 5/29/2018, if you go all the way to the second to last page, to June 6th, 2018.
I don't see a date at the end.
Okay, and at the Tripp 891. So if you see
okay.
some dates, you see those?
Yes.
This June 6th, 2018, you see that?
Yes.
And I don't see any further dates, do you?
No.
Did you text her any other texts after the 6th?
I don't think so. It would show up on here if I did.
Well, how do you know it would show up on here?
This is one full pull of text messages.
Where did it come from?
iCloud?
You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Did you delete your text messages with Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
So these had to be recovered by somebody.
I
Check the
believe.
foundation answer if you can.
I believe so.
Did you tell people at the Gigafactory that you were going to be moving to Hungary? You plan to move to Hungary?
I did tell them I was planning at some point to move to Hungary.
Did you tell anybody that, mention anybody that Hungary does not have an extradition treaty with the United States?
No.
Okay. Just, how old are you now?
41.
And you weren't planning to retire then?
No.
Okay. All right, let me give you what will be marked as Exhibit 42. So, Mr. Tripp, you recognize Exhibit 42, that's your resume, correct?
That is correct.
And this one does not include your time with Tesla, right?
That is correct.
And is this the version of your resume that you provided to Tesla?
I believe so.
You provided that electronically somehow, correct?
I believe so.
All right. And remember, during the interview, or excuse me, the interview process, you were asked to provide information on why you changed jobs. You remember that?
I believe so.
Okay. So I'll give you what will mark as Exhibit 43. Oops, hold on. So this is an email that you sent to Sarah Byers at Tesla on July 19th, 2017, right?
That is correct.
Okay, Ms. Byers was in Tesla's human resources, right?
I don't know if she was in.
She was your contact while you were applying to Tesla, right?
Correct.
And so she had asked you to provide an explanation for your job changes, right?
That is correct.
And that's what you see in this email to her, right?
Yes.
And in that, were you trying to be truthful?
Absolutely.
So Golden Auto Electric, weren't you terminated by the owner?
No, I was not.
And the Mortara Instrument, you told us earlier you were terminated from that, right?
Yes.
And that was because of conflict you had with a coworker.
Object to the form of the, well, object to foundation answer if you can.
At the time that I wrote this, I did not remember why I was terminated. It was due to several reasons. One of them being that the organization was being restructured, and so I didn't know if that had a bearing on it. So I just left it simple.
You left it simple as in you put in the it was just restructured and you were let go rather than you were terminated for having conflict with a coworker.
Yes.
Your last position prior to going to Tesla was at Neocoil, right?
That is correct.
Were you terminated from Neocoil?
Yes, I was.
Why?
Due to conflict with some of the technicians that I supervised and having no support from my management.
Was that fair? Do you think it was fair?
I would say it was not fair.
Your termination from Mortara, was that fair?
Knowing now more than I knew then, I believe it was fair. Yes.
Well, what do you mean knowing now before? What time periods are you talking about?
When I wrote this,
Yeah.
I was under the impression that it was other things that caused it. I spoke to my previous supervisor one day when I was visiting there to visit a ex-coworker, and he explained to me the other issue.
When did that happen? When did you make that visit?
I believe a few days before I actually moved to Reno.
Your first entry, you say you left the U.S. Navy, honorable discharge. You say you were married at the time and was not able to re-enlist. Do you see that?
That is correct. Yes, I see that.
Okay. So was it the case that in your position you could not re-enlist because you were married?
My wife at the time forbid it.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that the Navy was not allowing you to re-enlist, just that your wife didn't want you to re-enlist.
Correct.
What was your wife's name?
Dawn Wright.
Okay. And you had 3 children with her?
That is correct.
You don't have custody of them?
No, I do not.
Never had custody of them after the divorce?
No,
Did you provide support payments to them?
I still do.
Still do. Okay. I'll give this to, we'll show this as Exhibit 44. So Exhibit 44 looks like it's a career summary, and it's on, has Tesla at the top. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
During the candidacy period, this was emailed to me to fill out so they could present to the hiring managers.
Okay. So you filled this out knowing that this would go to the hiring managers as something that they would perhaps rely on in deciding whether to hire you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you were trying to be truthful when you filled this out.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll give you what's Exhibit 45. Exhibit 45 is an email exchange between you and Peter Leva
I believe that's correct.
at Tesla regarding Tesla's offer of employment, right?
Yes.
And you knew at that point when you received this offer that there were still additional steps that you have to go through before you got an official offer from Tesla, right? Like a background check and things like that.
Yes.
So this was, the offer was made on September 8th, 2017, and then you accepted it that same day, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm going to give you what is I'm going to mark as Exhibit 46, and I'm going to mark Exhibit 46 as confidential because it has Mr. Tripp's serial number on it. So, Mr. Tripp, you recognize Exhibit 46 as an employment application that you filled out for the position at Tesla.
I do.
Okay, and this was actually something that you filled out after you got the offer from Tesla, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so if you look at the third page of it, you see there's a signature there, Martin Allen Tripp, date 9/8/2017. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, does that remind you that you filled this out after you got the offer from Tesla?
I can't determine if it was before or after. I don't remember.
Same day that you got the offer.
Yes.
Okay, and you understood that you had to provide this information so that Tesla could do a background check and things like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, and again, you understood that you needed to be truthful in what you disclosed to Tesla for this employment application.
Yes.
Exhibit 47. So Exhibit 47 is a letter from Tesla to you dated September 29th, 2017, and that is your official offer letter, correct?
I don't know if it is the official one.
No, it is the offer letter from Tesla to you, correct?
There were two that were sent to me.
Okay. So if you go to the very last page, back of that actually,
Oh, thank you.
you see at the very last page of Exhibit 47, there is an indication that you e-signed this offer letter and accepted it, right?
Yes,
You remember doing that?
I do.
And you accepted it on the 29th of September 2017, right?
This particular one, yes.
Okay. And you say there's another one?
I believe there was either before or after this.
Okay. Was it basically identical? What was different about the other one? Or was there anything different about the other one?
The dates.
The dates, okay. When did you start at Tesla?
October 9th, 2017.
So that